Let me get that up and then.
Okay, the other monitor is in use,
Oh, and you are slowing down.
so we will see.
Oh, I was gonna say you're slowing down already.
Not already.
Yeah.
All right. Once this page loads, if it's fuzzy for the whole thing, not the whole thing, but okay. So the page is loaded with all the scores. That's all I'm
Pig.
gonna have.
All right, that's all right.
Doesn't seem that crazy of a from here. I don't really even need the scores, to be honest. I feel like I know, at least in the Thursday games. The game I didn't see the end of, though. Yeah, I'll be fine. I don't have them.
All right, I think we're good, like connection wise. I think we'll be all right.
Cool. Maybe.
Oh, let me grab my marble right here. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, let's get started in 3, 2, and 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys Podcast. I'm your host, Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host, Chris Hagan.
How you guys doing?
Good morning, Chris. It's a nice brunch. We haven't done a brunch pod in a minute. I'm doing
I
great.
feel refreshed.
Yeah.
Coming off a good night's sleep. Went for
No,
a
I did
walk.
not.
It's beautiful outside.
We had completely different nights.
Roll out of bed. And
Yeah, I went
well,
to
I
bed at
also have a puppy
3 in the
that
morning.
woke me up at. I crashed at I mean, we'll get into the games, but I crashed with 6 minutes left in the Auburn game, which sucked because I missed the
Oh, yeah,
best
I was
finish
gonna
of the night.
say. It's the best part of
Yeah,
the
had to
game.
do some catching up this morning, but it was worth it. I needed it.
Well, good. Let's get right into it. And we're gonna start sad. We're gonna have to get it where it hurts first. We're gonna start with UMD
There's
basketball.
no emotion left anymore. That's enough time has passed, and there's been enough anger that there was barely even sadness when they got beat. I will say before we get into all the ridiculous coaching stuff, Florida was better than them, and
Yeah.
regardless of who the coach was, or regardless of where the coach was going to be next year, they were going to lose this game by 10 points the way that they matched up against this team. For whatever reason, they just completely forgot how to rebound
Oh yeah.
starting in the Big Ten tournament. So they got beat by Michigan on a buzzer beater in the Big Ten semifinals, and they got crushed on the glass. It was 45-20 or something ridiculous like that. Grand Canyon looked good against them on the offensive boards, and for a coach whose nickname by
The
John
adjuster.
Rothstein is more adjustments than a chiropractor, they did not adjust for 4 games. And when they finally played a team that was more athletic than them, they got absolutely smoked on the glass.
Yeah, you said
So
20 to
that's why they
45.
lost.
This game was 20 to
That was
42.
that was the Michigan. Oh yeah, okay. Not great. Florida was keeping them in it in the first half because they kept throwing the ball away, and Maryland was playing sloppy too. It was kind of a gross start to the game, but then Gillespie started hitting some shots. Queen had a great night, obviously, and I think Florida turned the ball over 10 times in that first half, which kept Maryland in it. So they were hit 2, and then the game was over 2 minutes in the second half. Florida came out, hit a couple shots, and once they got up to 10, I think the closest Maryland got it was 6, but majority of the rest of the game was played in the double digits. So it was a tough way to go out. It wasn't soul crushing because Florida is that much better. And if you're gonna go out in a tournament, that's how you want to go out. You want to beat the teams that you were supposed to beat. We had the awesome Derek Queen moment, first Sweet 16 in 9 years, and you just play a team that's better than you. That's okay. Like you know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you had a good. It
Uh,
was a good tournament run. It was a good tournament
it was a good tournament run, and I think honestly now I can appreciate that a little bit
run.
because I'm not like so focused on all the outside crap that has happened. But I guess we do have to talk about all of the outside crap, which is that Kevin Willard has basically accepted the Villanova job. They asked him after the game. It does suck that like the first question after the game wasn't, reflect on the season or
That's
like
his
what'd you tell the
fault.
seniors after the game. It's entirely
Yeah,
his fault. No,
yeah,
I
that's
know.
his fault.
And I did a little thread on Twitter where he had a snippet from his post game where he was like, I know that like fans are gonna be pissed at me because of all the I'm in limbo right now, but to be honest, like I'm kind of pissed too that I'm in this situation. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, you're pissed.
how could you possibly say that? Like, okay, it's one thing to have the Villanova offer, which probably came in before the tournament even started, and to know that you're going to accept it, and to just sit on it. Like, if the rumors start, you answer and you say, I'm focused on right now. Like, I don't even think about the off season until the tournament's
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
I'm not even going to address it because it takes away from my team. That's what you could say. And then at the end of the tournament, it comes out. He's going to leave for Villanova. That's okay. I'd probably still hate him for leaving because
but at least
it's
he'd be a
it's
snake like
personal.
everybody else. He'd just be a snake. Like now, he's just like I
Well,
don't even
it's
know if
not
he's a
even like
snake
it's
right
not
now.
even him being a snake. Villanova's a better job. They
Yeah,
have
it's true.
better basketball history. They have more funding. There's no football to worry about. He loves the Big East. He's from Jersey, so it's a little bit closer. Um, so I can't even blame him for leaving. Like I can accept if I'm going to lose a coach. There's like 7 jobs that I would be okay
Yeah,
him
Villanova's
leaving,
one of them.
and Villanova is one of them. Like they have become a blue blood. Jay Wright really turned them into that. So that's okay. Obviously I would still be upset. I'm not going to pretend like I wouldn't be. But to come out and say, like right at the beginning, pretty much unprompted, like the AD has not given me what I want. Like this school is way behind. Uh, we need these resources to compete, and I don't even know how we can get them right now because the AD has gone to SMU, which nobody knew at the time. Um, to come out and just whine and whine and whine, and then to continue to talk about it, and then when pressed about it in his like official press conference about like if he's going to stay or not, he's like, "Yeah, well, now we're worried about Florida." Except it wasn't that; it was just like
No,
it
and
would have been
he had
so
the
funny
comment.
if
He
it
was
was
like, "I'm
a
the
record.
coach now," right? He had that. That was just one of his
Oh,
quotes.
yeah, so that was on the radio. But so he said, "As of right now, yes, like I'm the coach at Maryland." But then the guy was like, "Well, are you confident that you're going to get everything that you want to stay?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." And then talked for 2 minutes about how this guy he's working with in the AD is like the best guy ever, and he's been meeting all his demands. Don't say that if you know that you're
If
going
you
to
don't,
leave.
yeah, he's just lying.
And if you're actually torn between it, don't say anything
Yeah,
at all. It wouldn't be a conversation if he didn't talk. Like, there would be rumors, yes, but like he made it infinitely worse. And then it finally comes out. It's like, yeah, it's basically a done deal. And they ask him, so what do you like? You made these comments earlier. Like, do you regret anything? And he's like, yeah. So I'm worried about stopping Walter Clayton. His 3-point shooting
but
and all
that's
this.
too
And it's like,
late.
dude,
That's
you're
way too late for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's way too late, right? You can't play that card of like I'm gonna deflect
Oh, yeah.
when
You got to
you were the
start
one who
that.
made it a story in the first place.
Yeah. The second they asked something about Villanova, Kevin Willows' response should have been, "I'm focused on Florida." Should have been his.
Yeah,
It should have been. That's it. That's all you had to say.
well, week before that, it should have been like he never should have said anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and like,
yeah, and then to pretend like it was the media's fault for turning this whole thing into a circus. Like,
yeah,
buddy,
because he's pissed too,
you
Chris.
took the
He's
rumor and you
pissed too.
threw kerosene all over it. He's a narcissist. And I said in my tweet, I said, like, all college coaches are like this. They
Yeah,
all complain about their situation. They don't realize like A, that you're making millions of dollars and you're a head coach at like a pretty strong basketball program. Um, but B, that like what you're doing is bad for a lot of people. Like you being in this situation is not like, oh, like you're pissed that you got your dream job offer and that you have to make the decision while you're coaching the best team you've ever coached in your first Sweet 16 ever. Like, give me a break,
yeah, it's
dude.
bad. It's bad, and like it's one of those. It's an easy tell on a coach too, because like you look at Izzo, Tom Izzo, he gets asked about the transfer portal, and
Yeah,
it's not even asked about a different job. It's not even asked about another player coming in. He just said, and but
yeah.
still,
He's like, don't talk to me about
yeah,
that.
he gives a response of why would I focus on the transfer portal right now? We have a game to play, and
Yep.
that's all he had to say. Even if he's lying to their face.
Of course he's fine. They're already starting recruiting in the transfer portal. They have to because it's
Yeah,
already open.
yeah. So but that's what you say. You focus on the guys that are playing, and that's how you coach a winning basketball team. But it's it is a shame that that's how it had to go for Kevin Willard. I guess we're unsure. He does not know what he's doing.
He hasn't talked to his wife or his agent yet. In all
His
fairness,
wife.
in his defense, has not spoken to his wife about it yet,
Oh, okay.
or his agent. So that there was a thread the other night on the Maryland site that was like,
What
did they
happens if he comes
just
back?
sue him for like breaching contracts because he said that he hasn't spoken to his agent, but if the deal is already in the works, then he has to let Maryland know about it. He can't negotiate another deal without them being aware.
Oh, so this could get hairy
Like
if we really
if he
wanted to.
actually, so the context of this, and this is I think the best scenario, is that Villanova gets cold feet. They watch how this whole thing went down, and they're like we don't know. And then Willard's like, all right, I'm going to come back and coach at Maryland then. And they're like,
Yeah,
we don't want you anymore either.
yeah. Well, would you take
He's
him
like, well, I'm
back?
under contract. They're like, no, I would rather fire him with cause for public defamation.
I love that.
I'd fire
That's
him and I'd
good.
bring
I
in
would
Buzz
too.
Williams in a second. Apparently, Buzz Williams wants the job. Uh,
Who's Buzz
who I
Williams?
don't think would be. He coached at Virginia Tech and now he's at Texas A&M. Um, I don't think he's much better than Willard. I don't think he's worse though. So if they need
Just made the
a
four. He was
lateral
just a
move,
four seed. Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah. Um, but yeah, that's the dream scenario at this point. There's no going back. And he has to know, like he definitely knows that. I'm 98% sure that he is taking the Villanova job and that that's not going to happen. But on the off chance that they do pull the offer, that would be the best thing ever.
It would be
And then
very
he'd probably have
funny.
to go back to like NGAIT or
Yeah,
something like that.
that would be awesome. Yeah, and then he would rightfully be pissed.
No, I think it's still his fault.
No, yes, it would 100% be his fault, but you could still I guess he'd be pissed at himself. But
I
that's
guess, yeah, he's allowed to be pissed in that scenario, I guess. I just don't have sympathy. There's a difference.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. We don't have to have
Empathy, but
sympathy
not
for him.
sympathy,
Yep.
right? Is that how it works? I understand what he's feeling.
Yes.
I just don't feel bad for him. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Um,
I'm sure,
but
and like if you put me in that situation, I'm sure it's very difficult to know.
oh
And
yeah.
why do you see like one of the guys on one of the basketball shows was like, it's really just not a fun situation to be in for Kevin Willard. Like, cat retweeted it. He was like, "This is true. Has anyone thought about how much fun Kevin Willard is having in this whole situation?"
But
But again, these guys are impossible to feel bad for.
yeah.
It's
No,
like,
you
dude, you
definitely
have
can't be bad for him.
like you're negotiating with two schools, both of which are terrific basketball jobs.
And
One
they're
of which
trying to
is
give you
probably
everything.
your yeah, right.
Yeah.
They're literally bending the knee and sucking you off to become coach here. And this is your first Sweet 16 in 20 years. That's the other part that has not been talked about enough. He's not freaking Danny Hurley or Rick Pitino or even like the like halfway decent head coach like Iowa State's coach who's been to a couple Sweet 16s. This is his first Sweet 16 ever.
And he just got boat raced.
Like if that queen shot doesn't go in,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. What is his,
so
what's his resume even look like at that point? 2,
yeah, right. Oh,
2
if that shot doesn't go in and it comes out that he's gonna take the Villanova job, Maryland people would be like, okay, yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
It all depends on the tournament.
that's true.
That
That's
was
all that's really
Turgeon's
what
thing
matters.
when with Turgeon's best team and the tournament got canceled, but that was like the make or break year for him. Because if that team went far in the tournament, people would be like, okay, like maybe Turgeon's all right. And if they got beat early, they would have wanted him fired immediately. And of course, he ended up quitting 2 years later. But
Did I for I missed all I forget all that. He quit?
he quit. Yeah, I honestly, I booed him really hard. I honestly think it might have been me. They caused him to. They got beat by George Mason at home, and then they got beat by Virginia Tech, and they scored in the 50s. And I was like, get this
Oh,
freaking joker
Virginia
off of
Tech's
my floor.
oh, they're not that good at basketball. They have that you can't
No,
even
they're
beat
not.
this
They
team.
were when Buzz Williams was there. They made a
There
Sweet
you go.
16.
There you go.
What it's worth. Buzz
Um,
Buzz.
the
I don't even want Buzz
I
Williams.
just
I want Luke Murray, the assistant at UConn, who I just learned
Oh,
existed two
yeah,
days
Bill
ago.
Murray's kid? You want Bill Murray's kid?
Yes, Bill Murray's kid. Yeah,
He'd be at the
Murrayland.
games. That'd be awesome. You'd be able to see Bill
Yeah,
Murray at
and
the
at
Maryland
Bentley's.
games. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, that'd be sweet. Um,
but apparently his offenses are like insanely good everywhere he goes. So
yeah, yeah,
for
he
what
was
it's
like
worth, that's who
a
I prefer.
Hurley, like I remember Hurley like had to get him whenever he went to
Hmm.
UConn. Um,
Yeah.
all right. One thing I got to say about Maryland too, and I didn't watch the game. Well, I'll eventually watch the South Carolina women's, but they played Maryland lost to South Carolina women's. Um,
Oh, the game already.
yeah, the game
Right.
already
Yeah,
happened.
I saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah. They had they had a they had a quote afterwards. The head coach of Maryland, and she said, "I think we found the blueprint on how to beat South Carolina going forward." They lost by 6.
Oh, okay.
So what? But they lost by 6. What's the blueprint here?
Well, they kept it close. I feel like last time they played in the tournament, they got smoked.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did keep it close. Um, I just thought it was funny
I'll take that.
to lose and be
That
like,
is
"We
funny.
found the
Yeah.
blueprint to beat them."
Right. Yeah. We know how to do it. We just didn't execute.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we were just right there. But now we figured it out. We figured it out.
Also, like, you know that it's a completely different team next year, right? It's not.
Yeah, actually,
It's not
with
like the
women's,
Bills trying to.
with women's, it's different though. I feel like they stay
That,
pretty consistent. Yeah, I don't know about Maryland's, but South Carolina. I mean, they get a couple transfers, of course, but it's
mhm.
not as egregious as
I
one
guess
other
who's
team.
leaving South Carolina?
Yeah, yeah. Nobody's leaving that squad. Um, but anyways, let's move on to which one do you want to go? I guess we'll talk about Alabama and BYU real quick.
Yeah, let's just go
Yeah,
chronologically.
we'll
So
just get it out of the way.
Bama
Bama just shot the freaking lights out. We
game,
said Mark Sears
I felt like a
needed.
freaking genius because we said on the last pod, like if they haven't had a game yet where they just come out and shoot the lights out, and if they do that, they're unbeatable. And well, they just set the record for 3 pointers in a tournament game.
Yeah, this was an NBA score. The over under could not have been high enough. They set it at 175 to begin the game. Within the quarter, within the first quarter, like literally 3 minutes within the first quarter, they raised it to 188, and it still broke that by like 20 points. Insane
Yeah,
game. It's a shame that BYU couldn't keep it closer. That we couldn't have had it be a more competitive game, but it was cool to see Alabama break the record, shoot the lights out. Mark Sears, uh, everyone was saying he needed to go off, and he did it. 34 points in 30 minutes. They shot 51 threes in 40 minutes of game time. That's just insanity. But we don't need to get
wasn't there a
into the
stat where
nitty-gritty of
like
this, but
if they didn't even shoot a two the whole game, they still would have won?
let's do
How
some
many
math real
threes did
quick.
they hit?
They hit 25. So 25 times 3 real
Oh,
quick.
so no,
No, yeah, they would have
it's
hit those
close. They
threes.
would have lost by 13 points if they didn't.
But if they hit their free
I
throws,
guess
then
if they.
if they hit their free throws, they had 18 free throws. So they would have won the game.
Oh, that must have been the stat
So
then. Free
yeah,
throws.
they could have not taken 66. Actually, the field goals count as they only made 10 two-pointers. So I always forget that the field goals count as three-pointers too. That's crazy. 10 two-pointers
Yeah,
the whole game for
insane.
Alabama. Um They only shot, uh, 15. Shot 15 2-pointers the whole game. It's
They're the
insanity.
Rockets.
Yeah. Yeah, that is some Rockets basketball. And this just to like, when they
The
get
old Rockets, not the current Rockets.
yes,
Clarity.
yes, of course, of course. Um, they're playing Duke today. They need if they don't shoot well, they're gonna get
It's a
boat
shame they
raced.
wasted it
Yeah,
on BYU because they did
yeah.
not need to win that game by 25 points. Like,
No, they
I would
better hope
rather
they're
seen them
keeping that
squeak by
momentum.
BYU and then shoot
Yeah.
60% from three against Duke. But yeah, we'll see. I saw the over for that game is like 175 again. So, and Duke just scored 100 again on Arizona.
Yeah, this is gonna be an NBA game. This is gonna be 200 points. I feel like this is gonna be 200
Are we
points.
taking the over?
Oh, yeah, 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 let's take the over.
I
I
feel like
think
we
we
got
should.
to, right?
Yeah.
Like they can't set
Uh,
it high enough.
and we'll go to Duke right now. I sadly fell asleep for the end of the game when, Arizona they crawled back a little bit and made it close. Caleb Love went off, but Cooper Flag, man, dude, watch it. Like I was like, this is like the first time because it's like the biggest Duke game we've had so far. Um, and Baylor, like, if the games start and it's already a blowout, like I'm not throwing that shit on. So I'm watching this Duke game and I'm just watching Cooper Flag, bro. This guy is insane. This guy's absolutely insane.
You said like Bama game, Bama's going to be an NBA game. This Duke team is an NBA team.
Yeah,
Like just the way they play back, the size and the skill, like it's hard to throw college teams together. Like Caleb Love in his 7th year of college basketball looked great, but like those guys, there's only so much
yeah.
you can do against a team that's this big and talented.
It's insanity, and I guess it's really what we talked about last time too. But like, I mean, all these guys are massive. They're all 6'5" plus. When you were looking at the starting lineups for Arizona and um the for Duke, Cooper Flag was as tall as their centers and power forwards. And then it's just like they have 2 7-foot guys as like a
Point guard's
center
like
and
6'6".
yeah, yeah, Zion James, 6'6". Tyrese Proctor, I think, is also
Proctor
six
too.
six. Yeah.
He's
Um,
6'6" or 6'7".
yep, he's 6'6" as well. They're just I mean, we talked about it last time. They can just get like they can find a bucket better than anyone else because of their size. And it's gonna be a hard thing to beat. And Alabama is gonna have to shoot they're gonna have to hit 25 threes to even attempt
Yes.
um to beat Duke here. And it like we talked about because I remember we talked about this with this Arizona game, like maybe Duke could have this like a dud, but it's maybe if Cooper Flag doesn't get 30, like they could lose, but I just feel like one of the other guys could just step up. Like if Cooper Flag
That's
doesn't
what
get
happened against Baylor. Like Proctor had an insane. I don't know how many flag hit. Like he didn't have a bad game, but um,
I'll pull it up so your computer doesn't break.
the
Yeah, Proctored with
the only
25
thing
and
that would
Flag with only 18.
yeah the only thing that would worry me about this game is just like what if Bama does it again?
Hmm.
But even then, it's like Duke can still hang with them, even because they're not going to set the record for 3 pointers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
I like the over. I like the over. While we don't have to make I think this could be a good game. I'm glad it's what is it at, like 8 o'clock?
Yeah, it's a late game,
8
8:49, which
8:50.
also
Yeah, that's all right.
that should be the late game though.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
The
definitely.
late game should not be 10:30. That's not fair. That's too
Yes.
late.
Yeah, yeah. It's way
It's
too
too
late.
late.
It is way too late. Um, all right, this pissed me off. I had a bunch of bonus bets that expired on the 28th, so yesterday, and I had a ton of money on Arkansas. Just like $10
Oh,
bonus bet on Arkansas. And I was looking so good. And I should have done the thing, but they have that FanDuel has this thing where it's like if they're up by 17, I'm pretty sure you could get your full money back. You can like cash
mm,
out. I don't know if they ever made it to 17, but they were up by it felt like a million and completely blew this game away. They had the largest
yeah.
um the largest lead loss. Is that largest blown loss? Oh, blown lead. Largest blown lead in
We're
NCAA
up
history, right? Just trying to get my notes.
16. Looks like it capped at 16. They were up.
Oh, so it wouldn't have worked. But
Yeah, with 10 minutes left. uh, sickening. I mean, like, I don't really feel bad for them because it's very, like,
No,
I'm rooting for that
this
guy to
wasn't the
succeed, and I like Texas Tech, um, but yeah, just poop down their leg.
yeah, they really blew it.
They I mean, like, how long I feel like they scored, like they hit 1 shot in, like, the last 10 minutes of the game, maybe 2. Like, seriously, if you go
Yeah.
back and you look at, like, the play-by-play, they
It's
just don't hit any shots.
and it's like in overtime, they re-woke up. Like, "Shit, we gotta win this game."
Yeah.
Like, it's now in
Yeah.
overtime. And, uh, and then ended up losing by 2. This is
Yeah.
a super talented Arkansas team. They're
Mhm.
gonna be just fine. Calipari's got that chicken money. Um, they're gonna be just fine. I thought they were gonna blow out Texas Tech. JT Toppin with they had 3 players with 20 points. That's insanity. Darren
Stockton.
Williams, JT Toppin, and Christian Anderson, all with 20 points. That's
Toppin's a
impressive.
NBA player.
Yes. Yeah, we discussed that last time. But that's that's really all we got for this. The Texas Tech.
Texas
This
Tech,
was
yeah.
um this was a late game too, and it shouldn't have been as late. Thursday. I mean, I had work
No,
tomorrow.
too late.
Yeah,
No, how are these
it's
people
like
doing it?
I don't understand. So I wish
The
I got
best
to
I could
see
do is the
that, but
highlights. I can't
I
see
went
them.
to bed with Arkansas up by like 13, and I was like,
Yeah.
bonus bet's gonna look great. And luckily, I had some parlay or something that had Texas Tech just to hedge. Um, just you gotta be risk tolerant here when you're playing with FanDuel. But so I was expecting to see like 20 an increase of $20, and I get in, I saw an increase of like 2. I was like, what happened here? And then I saw they lost. It was brutal. Um, Old Miss, Michigan State, getting to yesterday's games. This was a great game. Tight the whole way. Michigan State really had Old Miss playing Big Ten basketball. They slowed it down. Um,
I may have been wrong about Michigan State.
it's every time we're like, I just don't think they could do it, and they end up doing it every time.
Because at the end of the game, like, Ole Miss missed a couple shots inside, and, like, you gotta credit just Michigan State's size, and they ran, like, the most perfect pick and roll to go up 4 at the end of the game, and it's like, these big guys who are just they're big. They're big guys. That's I just didn't believe in them because of their guard play, and then, like, Jay Makins hits, like, the most clutch basket of their season, so yeah, I was wrong. I was totally wrong about them
if
because
I
they
was Old
did,
Miss,
like
I'd
they
be
kinda
pissed
did turn
though
this team into a rock fight. Why?
because you're and like this is Michigan State being physical, and that's why they have 10 more free throws than Old Miss does. But Old Miss had 7 more steals than them. They had 2 less turnovers. They had 4 more rebounds total than them, and none of it mattered. And I guess if it was a 2-point game, so like of course or 3-point game, so I guess it all mattered. But um, just looking at the free throw disparity would have been mad. I mean, like we just had to be a little more physical than them. But they've been playing like this all season,
You
and
can't
Old
be,
Miss.
though.
Say again.
You can't just be more physical than them, though. Like, that's
Yeah, and what I think is
even if they
weird,
lose, they're gonna be more physical.
maybe this is a maybe I'm not picking up correctly on this, but I feel like in the SEC for basketball, it's way more like offensive oriented, way more 3-point
Oh,
shooting,
definitely.
way more fast. And then when you go to SEC
100%.
football, it's like way slower than Big Ten football. And like, but is that wrong? Is Big Ten is that
No, Big Ten I feel like the speed in SEC football is still but it's just the size and speed, like, pure athleticism across the board in the SEC. Whereas the Big Ten, at least for a while, it's kinda starting to even out now because, like, you have Oregon and, like, Ohio State recruits nationally. They're not just pulling guys out of the cornfield. Um, but, like, yeah, it used to be just, your Iowas and Wisconsins, your Michigans, like, you're just huge in the trenches and run the football, whereas the SEC was, like, big and fast.
yeah, it's
But I
almost
think
like
it's
a
kind of, like,
players versus
coming
it's like
back
a
to the normal now.
it's almost like a players versus coaches. Like Big Ten, you're gonna win basketball games because of your game plan. And then in the
Mhm.
SEC, you're gonna win basketball games because you just body those people. You just yada them like,
Yeah.
um. So yeah, and then when you shoot 9 for 27 from three and 40% from field goals, and you don't have the free throw disparity, you don't have the physicality of Michigan State, that they're gonna sneak this game away, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and it's like if these SEC teams, if they're not hot shooting, like, they can't win the game.
Yeah.
Whereas Michigan State can play, like, they wanna slow the game down, and they don't care if they shoot the ball well, to be completely honest, because that's not how they're gonna win the game.
No, and that's what we
But
saw
that
with.
also leaves you open to getting upset because if you're gonna slow the game down and play like, turn it into a rock fight, then you can kinda get beat by anybody.
And that's
It
you're
goes
kind of
both ways.
describing a perfect recap of the Michigan Auburn State or game as well, um, because that's exactly what happened. Michigan was slowing them down. They were keeping it close, and then in the second half they call timeout for Auburn. They bam adjust, get on a run, and the
Just
second they got on a run, it was done.
floodgates.
Yeah, and once that floodgates open for these SEC schools, well, for these dominant SEC schools that have these players like Auburn and Auburn and the guys that are still left, these teams will take advantage of that, and it's like a snake. They're gonna strike whenever they see the animal just like weaken for a second. So that's what they did with Michigan, and again another team with
Yeah, and I
three
will say,
players with
like,
20 points.
Broome
Crazy.
definitely neutralized. Yeah. But like, watching Broome just go right at Golden and, like, all of a sudden it was, "Whoa, these 2 Michigan bigs all of a sudden aren't that." Like, watching the SEC Player of the Year just take it right to the rim on them. Um, when he started doing that, and he was also on the glass. I don't know how many
Oh, you looking stuff up by the way?
stats crashed, but I don't know how many rebounds he had. He had 9 at halftime, I think.
It's not bad, but it's definitely choppy.
Pull the plug.
Yeah, I
I'll
think you
send
got
it in.
it.
Game or two. A lot of rebounds. How about that?
Broome had 16 rebounds. I can do that. I can get the
Okay,
stat. I
there
got
we
it pulled
go.
up. Yeah. He had 16 rebounds, and you're right. And then Cardwell, they didn't even need him offensively. They just had him for the boards, going up against the big guys, playing defense on Dylan Wolf and Golden. I'm not even gonna try to Vlad's. Nah, I'm not gonna try that.
Glad
Yeah, Vlad. Um,
VP.
this Auburn team, if they can get a bench guy like Pettiford to keep going off in these games, they could be unbeatable. It'll be great to see them. It's funny, everyone's bitching about all the one seeds winning and two seeds winning. We're gonna get great basketball. Like we're getting some great
Yeah.
basketball. And
Yeah,
the
Duke, Alabama is awesome.
yeah, I mean Tennessee, Houston, Michigan State, Auburn. I mean Texas Tech, Florida
Tennessee,
is still
Houston
pretty
is
good.
kind of gross.
I don't like the colors. Colors are awful.
It'll-
Look at the two logos. The
It's just going to be
TH.
like,
It's the Tua. It's the Tua
yeah,
game.
the Tua.
I didn't even realize it's a Hawk Tua game. That's crazy.
Also, there's a lot of football schools, which I guess makes sense because the SEC was so good. But like Texas Tech, Florida, I guess Texas Tech really is a basketball school now. But I feel like if you gave them the choice, which one they would rather be good at,
Yeah,
they'd
they'd
choose
rather be.
football.
Yeah.
Like Florida's a football school, Bama, obviously,
Yeah, the only
Tennessee,
basketball schools are, I
Auburn.
mean, Michigan State and Houston, really. That are
Well, Duke.
oh, and Duke, of
Like
course.
Duke is
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. Duke's
basketball
that. Yeah,
school.
yeah, 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 yeah. But they don't even count at this point. Like they're just on like another plane.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you just forget they
You
have
just
football.
expect it. Yeah, exactly. You just expect it.
I saw a
Uh,
stat, this is kinda crazy, there were, like, 3 teams this year where the men's basketball attendance was greater than the football attendance, and it
wow.
was Maryland, who plays in an 18,000 seat arena. I forget who the other team
So
was, and
bad.
then Duke.
Holy
And Duke's team like, Duke's basketball arena seats, like, 6,000 people. I don't know how they possibly passed the football team. Like, there must have been
There's
8
no one
people
there.
coming to those
Yeah.
games. Yeah. That was kind of a crazy stat.
That is a crazy stat. They had a good quarterback too, so I feel like
No,
I don't
they
know
were,
if he
like,
played
kinda
well,
good this
but I
year.
know that I wanted him when he was in the transfer portal. Um, Yeah, that is an interesting stat. I didn't realize Duke's
It
basketball
it's
arena only holds
it might
6,000 people. Let me look that up so your
it
computer
might
can
be,
tell me.
like, 8 or 9. It's small. It's not an NBA size arena. I'm trying to think who that other team was. It's gonna kill me.
9,000, but still, yeah, that's not
9,000,
very
okay.
large. Yeah,
I mean, 9,000 times what, 20 home games?
yeah.
Probably
Let me
not
see.
even. That's 180,000. Okay, so they're averaging less than 30,000 people at football games. That's a conservative estimate. It's probably less than, like, 25.
And they could fit 40,000 people in their stadium. Huh.
I guess that's not too egregious.
Yeah, they're only missing what, like they're missing like a third or a fourth of their attendance per
Yeah.
game. That's not terrible. All
And
right,
it's a
anyways.
smaller school, so yeah. Oh my
um Purdue Houston,
basketball.
yeah, last of the game. I mean, actually we can talk about Tennessee, Kentucky. Can't hard to beat a team 3 times. And the game was on during Michigan Auburn and it was a blowout. So that's what you got. Off to Purdue Houston. Um this
Kentucky was
I
bound to have a game like that, I will say, where they just don't score in the
But they just
80s.
don't, yeah, exactly. They get cold, and they
And
were
Tennessee's defense is, like, gross, so
I thought there'd be a
wasn't
lot
shocking.
more three-pointers in this game. Now I'm looking at it, but oh well. Um, where were we? Yeah, Purdue Houston. Sorry, I got caught. They pulled up a game recap. It was like a reel. Like I don't want to see this thing. Uh,
That's what came up to me. That's what screwed my whole computer.
oh really? Yeah, that's
Yeah, if you go back and watch our I'm, like, looking at my mom. "What's going on?" And it's close.
All
Really
right. So
threw
what
me
what
off.
happened? What happened here, Chris?
In this game,
Yeah,
um, I mean, I fell asleep for this game,
yeah. I was
but I will
big.
say, I watched the end of
Oh, I
it,
wasn't
but
asleep.
to
I just
speak to the
wasn't
game as a
listening.
whole, this is kind of what I was talking about with Michigan State, where Houston can turn any game into a rock fight, and it's like pace is slow. It's a very defensive game, um, and I thought that bringing Purdue down to that level would work in their favor because Purdue's defense sucks. Um, so if you can limit them offensively and, like, keep the game pretty low scoring, you'll be fine. Credit to Purdue for hanging in there. Uh, that last possession, that inbound play is, like, something that
I
I
saw
saw
it.
in 7th
Yeah,
grade basketball.
that was a
I don't
crazy
understand how,
inbound.
like, but, like, I feel like that's inbound under the basket defense 101. It's like the ball is going to come back to the guy who threw it in. So I don't understand how that was so easy for them. And I know, like, they're going to complain about the push off on the before the ball went out of bounds. Uh, Probably was a push off, to be honest. So, like, they're gonna say they never should have been in that scenario. But, like, that was ridiculous how wide open he was on that play. And that's on the coach, unless somebody just missed their assignment. But, like, I did not play advanced basketball. I played, like, middle school and then rec in high school. And, like, this is stuff that we were aware of. Like, make sure somebody is on the inbound guy because he's gonna pop back in. So that kind of annoyed me.
It is funny when simple stuff like that happens in any sport, and you're like, God, like we got taught this stuff as kids, and it's
Yeah.
probably because they got taught like stuff that type of stuff when they were kids, and they probably don't talk about it at practice very often.
Mhm.
And when those game scenarios come in, it's a rare in a game scenario too. So it's like they probably just mentally error, just forgot about, like, literally just forgot. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that that stuff happens in sports all the time. Like, all these, last second plays or, even in football where it's like how'd the cornerback let that happen? It's like, yeah, you gotta remember that these guys are humans too, and they just, ah, like, they just
Yeah.
and, That was
That's what it looked like. It was like either somebody just completely forgot that they were supposed to account for him, or the coach didn't think about it. It
he's
wasn't
wide
like it was
open. It
ran to
goes right.
perfection. I'm not gonna blame I'm not saying it, like, wasn't a nicely designed play. I'm just saying that a high school coach could draw that play up.
Well, and I'm looking at it literally right. I'm looking at it right now, and there's three people that are just standing while this guy is watching. There's one guy who he's standing by almost the 3-point line as a defender. I don't know where he. I gotta look where he's from at the beginning. What is he doing? Oh, he's following a screen. Okay, there's a switch that goes on in the back corner, and the guy who was supposed to be guarding the inbound pass switches to the back corner, and this guy, I don't know what player this is. He's at the top of the key and just he doesn't switch in time. Nobody communicates. Um, Easy 2 points to take the lead, and then they have this awesome half court pass, and it goes right into Purdue's hand, and Purdue throws it up, and it's like did you see that Steph Curry video the other day where he shoots like the full quarter and it doesn't actually go in? It just looks like it goes in.
No.
It goes literally right in front of the rim, and it makes the net swish, so it looks like it goes in, and they posted it because they thought it went in, but there was another angle, like, "Hey, this actually never went in." That's what this Purdue shot reminded me of, even though it wasn't as close, but, like, when it was up in the air, it was like, "Oh, this is the March Mad like, this is it! Like, this is the moment!" And, uh, and then it just completely just clank, and it's just like, "Oh, damn, that was it."
Yeah.
Um,
That's the worst when you're at the game, especially. It happened to us at the Wizards game, and I think at the Maryland game too, because we're in the upper deck, where a
yeah.
shot, you just think it goes in. You're like, yes, like, let's go. Wait, why isn't anybody else cheering? And you realize the ball didn't go in there.
Yeah, it's
It's
funny
the
with
worst.
basketball. There's definitely some funky angles that you could get that I've seen. And it's like, did that go in? I don't really know if that went in or not. Um, all right, we'll preview some of these games. Texas Tech, Florida, and what are we thinking here? I think Florida, if they rebound like they did against Maryland, they're just gonna destroy Texas
The
Tech.
thing that would worry me about Texas Tech is just being involved in that emotional of a game on Thursday, then having to show up 2 days
Yeah,
later and take on Florida, who's much better than Arkansas.
yeah, completely agree.
I
And
think I had Texas Tech in my Final Four, but I don't know if I love it. Like, Florida also just seems like a team where it's like you can keep it close for 30 minutes and then eventually they're going to pull away.
yeah, I mean that UConn game, they had it for what 39 minutes, 38 minutes.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. I feel like that might have been their toughest test of the tournament. Like I feel like they're
yeah.
not going to play a game maybe that close yet until the final.
Yeah, they're in the opposite. If they
But we'll
if they
see.
win,
I everything that I think has been wrong so far this tournament. So maybe Texas Tech does come out and win.
they're on the same side as Auburn and Michigan State, right? Because
Yeah.
it would be Duke. Yeah, okay. Um, I think that's a good way to. I'm glad the bracket was set up that way because I wouldn't want to see Duke at Florida or Duke and Auburn before the the finals. Anyways, we talked about Duke Alabama or Alabama Duke. I guess we kind of previewed that. We can go on to Tennessee Houston. This talk about a rock fight. This is gonna
Yeah, it's gonna
be
be gross.
this is gonna be real gross. Um, I don't know who takes it. I like both these teams, of course. I mean, they're 1 and 2. Uh, the Tua game. Yeah, this is gonna be a rock fight. Um, if
Surprised
Tennessee can get
Houston's
on the
minus 3.5.
3.5,
I like plus 3.5 for Tennessee.
yeah, I don't hate that. They're definitely gonna keep it close, and they're one of these SEC
Yeah.
schools that they can get hot. They can get one of these streaks. They don't score as much as the other SEC schools do. They're around like if they're around like 80, pretty much. That's actually 80 is pretty good for them. So they're it's gonna be a rock fight against Houston. They can get a good run or two.
They do have some dogs though, like Ziegler
Oh
and
yeah,
Lanier.
yeah. Ziegler is he's awesome. I've watched him for too long playing here, and he's always in the position where he needs to be in, even though he's 5'9", and he's great. They they have a great team there, and I don't know. Houston is always scares me though with their defense. Keep it. This is gonna be like I think this is gonna be a 2-point game. I think +3 is probably pretty good. Um, mm, I don't know, and I think that's okay. What else we got? Michigan State, Auburn.
Michigan State
Is this
Auburn.
is this where they do it, Chris? Is this where Michigan State finally doesn't slow them down enough?
I don't I don't know. I feel like I keep betting against them and then it doesn't work. This is gonna be the best team that they've played by a pretty wide margin.
All season, all season.
So
Yeah, this is
yes. Well, yeah. I mean, they're the number one overall seed. So
they need to score
did they
90. They've
play
done it against Iowa.
Auburn?
They've done it against. They almost got it against Bryant. They're gonna need to score 90, to win this game. That's my prediction here. They've done it a
Yeah,
couple
I
times
don't
this
think they
season.
can. They played Kansas. Did not play Auburn.
They lost to Kansas
Um,
earlier this season.
yeah, I just am wary now of saying things about Michigan State, but I think the talent gap is too big here. But I like Izzo more than Pearl. I'll say that.
Yep, yep. I like that. The Izzo. That after hearing that quote that I mentioned earlier about the transfer portal, I was like, oh, fired up, facing Auburn. We're ready to go. Um, I don't know. This is it's gonna be a great game. I think should be back and forth. It should be tight. I hope that Michigan State. I have them as my winner, so I might as well I guess root for them. I hope they slow it down enough to knock out Auburn. I think if they're the team that comes and if they go all the way to the finals and the whole time they make everyone else play their type of basketball, well I think that'll be a worthy championship and like a worthy um we'll have a
Yeah,
good viewing
definitely.
experience of the rest of the tournament. Um, but that being said, Auburn could definitely come in here on fire after a big win, and completely dominate. So I could see either one happening. Um, it's either going to be there's no blowout. There's no scenario. The only scenario you can cross off is a blowout by Michigan State. That is the only scenario you can
Yes,
cross off.
that's impossible.
Um, yeah, and actually like how I did that. I think that's the same thing for. I think you could cross out a blowout for either team on Houston and Tennessee. I think that's close no matter
Definitely.
what. What's the oh wait, I'll look it up so you don't break your computer.
The Houston game, it's like
Yeah.
130 something.
Jesus. 123.
Oh, really?
123. Oh my god. I don't even like it.
Yeah.
This could be like yeah, this could be like oh,
I
all the
mean, Houston
predictions
and
are
Purdue
saying
is 122, and Tennessee's worse offensively than Purdue is.
all the
Much better
predictions
defensively.
are like 69 to 64 Houston.
Ugh, I don't know about that. It's a lot of points.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they could get that high. Um all right. I don't know if I wouldn't take the under in such a low line, but that over is gonna be a sweat. That's even though it's 123, it's gonna be a sweat. I think that's all the games. I think we did a much better preview, at least on my end. I felt much better previewing these games than we did the
It's
Sweet 16. Um, let's go
too many
on
games.
to
Once you get down to like 4 games to look at,
yeah, and
you can do
actually
that. You
sink
can
your
handle
like
that.
this. Yeah, there's stuff you could talk like yeah. Um,
We've seen the teams more at this point.
we are with the opening day for or baseball happened, and
Yep.
Chris, we're gonna be doing our so I have the MLB standings up. Chris, you're gonna be telling me what's going on this season. What's gonna happen? Who do we like? Um, and I heard my Red Sox. Let's start with that. I heard my Red Sox are gonna be competitive this year.
They look like a good team. They did more this offseason than they've done in a lot of years. So they traded for Garrett Crochet, who was the best pitcher on the White Sox last year. Um, kind of a foregone conclusion that he was going to get traded, but he's like a legit Cy Young contender.
Oh,
They brought in Alex Bregman, who was on a bunch of those World
heard that
Series
name.
teams in Houston to play third base. There's actually some drama because Rafi Devers,
Mm-hmm.
who's been the third baseman there for like 10 years, didn't want to give up third base. And now they're putting him at DH. So I guess time will tell if that affects his offensive output, but he's not a good third baseman. So it makes sense for the team, and I think they were able to swallow the emotional pill of not having him out in the field. But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty balanced roster. They have a strong rotation now with Crochet. They were already pretty good last year. Now they have that true ace, and they've got another thumper in the lineup to hit behind Devers and Bregman. So I think
Is
they're
Trevor Story not just not good anymore? That guy's not good.
he hasn't played
That's what I
like at
thought.
all. I don't know when he signed the contract, but it like
I don't think
I
he's
have not
I
heard
don't
his
think I've ever
name.
seen him in the uniform.
I was watching their game last night for a little bit, and I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's
Trevor Story's
back.
on this team. He signed like a $200 million contract." So yeah, maybe he just returns to prime Trevor Story form. That would be pretty shocking. But even without him, it's a good lineup. Uh, I would have said at the start of the year that they're the second best team in the AL East, but the Yankees have gotten crushed by injuries. So they might be better than the at this moment. They're better than the Yankees.
Wow.
The Orioles,
So you think they could win
I
the AL
think,
East?
I think they could. I think I wouldn't be shocked if anyone outside of Tampa won that division. I think like Toronto, a lot of things would have to go right. Baltimore just didn't really upgrade at all, and they lost their best pitcher, but they also have their best like their closers coming back, and they added a couple of vets. So I think they'll still be a good team. I just don't know if they're good enough to win the division. And then the Yankees obviously lost Soto, and they tried to like replace him in the aggregate, and guys
Like the
just are
like the
old
Giants are
and like
doing with Daniel Jones. Did you see that?
yes, right, like precisely. Um, Although I don't think we should ever compare Juan Soto to Daniel Jones ever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I just like I wasn't a fan of the Yankees offseason. They paid big for a pitcher when I thought they needed to replace Soto's bat in the lineup, but whatever. So and they lost Garrett Cole and Tommy John. So I'm not crazy about the rotation either. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I could definitely I would not be surprised if the Red Sox won that division. I would be surprised if they missed the playoffs, to be honest. So
Sweet.
definitely more excitement in Boston than there has been probably since Mookie.
Sweet.
They need
Yeah,
to
that's
extend Crochet though.
did they just got him, so it's like
They just
last year?
traded for him.
Yeah. Okay. So that
He might have a couple years left, honestly. But like, if you're gonna make a move like that, he should be on your team for 10 years.
yeah, I hope the owners aren't like they honestly knowing
Yeah,
the
sign
owners that
Tony
how
up.
they did with yeah, I was gonna say what they did with Mookie, they might just be like, "Oh, we'll see
Yeah,
if we can
that
win it
was
now," and
a
just let him
crumb.
walk. Yeah. Um, well, that's good. That's good. I'll have to keep a better eye out. We're in a fantasy baseball. We that was last episode. So I'll have to keep an eye out. I picked up Trevor Story because I was like, "Oh, free agent. I
Oh,
mean,
you
I know
did?
his name. I was like, um, all right. So let's talk about the Orioles a little bit. The local team. You talked about they lost their best pitcher. Um, they're getting some guys back. They're still super young, right?
Yes, it's getting to that point where we can no longer just say that and like the window's open, or at least
Yeah.
the window should be open. So like Adley and Gunnar were the two big prospects that are like they're here. Like
Yeah.
Gunnar could have won the MVP last year if it wasn't for Judge. Um, Adley is the best, not the second best catcher in baseball. So like these guys have arrived. Jackson Holiday came up last year, was horrible. He's on the opening day roster. I think he homered last night. So like he's up now. They're still waiting on this guy, Kobe Mayo. Actually, he might be on the opening day roster. I'm not sure. So like they still have a couple guys coming up. I don't know. Mayo is still in AAA. So this year at some point, but like Pittsburgh, he's legit MLB player now. Colton Cowser. So these guys, like the youth movement, is now here, and it's not like not just the fun young team to watch anymore. Like the pressure's
They should
on. They
win
got
some
to win some
games.
baseball games,
Yeah.
and they have done that the last 2 years. It's not like they haven't. Uh, what was discouraging this offseason is that they didn't make a move to take a next step.
Mhm.
So they did it last season when they traded for Corbin Burns, and then they let him walk in free agency. Apparently, he was going to go to Arizona regardless because of like I guess family stuff. But then they didn't really make a play for any of the other big name agents that were out there. So that was kind of a bummer. They just brought in some like older guys, some guy from Japan. Um, so I was kind of annoyed by that. But yeah, like they're still a good team. I don't think they got much worse. And they kind of crashed and burned at the end of last season. So if they can avoid a bad stretch like that, they just forgot how to hit. So if like you get a real like a legit season from Jackson Holiday, then I think your offense is much better. So there's reason to be excited about the Orioles. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I just would have liked to see them do more. But they're a good baseball team. They should make the playoffs.
Sweet.
And
Let's
Felix Batista, their
oh,
closer, is back, which is a pretty
okay.
big deal.
So let's move on to the National League East. We'll start with your Phillies. 1-0. Got the hat on. How we feeling? What are we looking like?
I mean, I feel the same way that I did last opening day and the opening day before that. They're like the same team. Eventually, time's gonna run out. And I'm just kind of banking on it not being this year. So their lineup is almost exactly the same, except they've replaced their left fielder who hits sixth or seventh in their lineup. And it was a pretty lateral move. They added a fifth starter from the Marlins who's pretty good, Jesus Luzardo. So their starting rotation should be gross. They also have like one of the best pitching prospects in baseball coming up at some point this season. Andrew Painter, the name to remember.
All right.
Actually, don't forget I said anything because he comes up. I would like to scoop him up in fantasy. um, yeah, I like. They didn't
I'm
really do
definitely,
much.
but
They added
don't worry
another
about it.
reliever, but
I said don't worry about it. I'm probably gonna forget Andrew Painter pretty soon.
um, so yeah, like not much has changed. There's still like the big change this offseason was Trey Turner's gonna hit leadoff instead of Kyle Schwarber. Uh, Schwarber homered and had 2 hits the other day, so looking good so far. What are you writing down?
Andrew Painter.
um, so yeah, not much has changed. Like they should make the playoffs, and then who knows from there. Just hope that they don't go cold again. But I'm just gonna enjoy the season and excited that they're back.
Well, good. I'm glad that that the World Series is still the goal here. I was worried that we were gonna
Yeah,
start trickling
absolutely.
down into like, hope we make the playoffs. Hope we. But we're good.
No,
This is
once
solid. So
yeah, no, once the World Series is the goal, it doesn't just go away.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
until your team becomes bad, then it
Yeah,
goes away.
right. But then you're rebuilding. You're not like on the downturn. Like if the World Series is not the goal, then they're going in the wrong direction. They're not
Correct. Correct.
like a young team trying to just make the playoffs. They're an old team that
Yeah,
has
yeah,
no
yeah.
chance.
Yeah, that's what I was making sure that it was. We're good. We're good. We're solid. I was making sure.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Mm, maybe one more year though. Things are gonna get tricky. I'll say that.
Is it because of salary cap? Because of ages? Why is it going to get tricky? Or
They
not
don't have.
cap?
There's
There's
no
no
salary.
cap.
They
Yeah, I was
have.
gonna
Yeah,
say.
they're 6 of their 9 hitters are 31, 32 years old.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that'll do it. Who else? So national, are they going to win the National League? What are the other? The Mets are, they got Soto. They're always the Mets. What's up with them?
I don't think the Mets are that great. I mean, like the Soto contract was outrageous. They gave him Otani money, and he doesn't pitch. Otani pitches and hits. Uh, I don't know. To me, it was ridiculous. I don't think the baseball people in the organization liked it. I think they just have an owner who's crazy and spend all of his money on players, which is great for them. But like you got to get the right fits. So they brought back Alonso. They have a pretty similar lineup as they did last year, except they add Soto in. Um, I don't think their pitching staff is very good. Um, yeah, I don't think they're a real World Series contender. I think their magical run last year
The Mets.
like was a magical run. Yeah, and I don't know. I could be dead wrong, and obviously I'm biased because I don't like the Mets. Yeah, I'd be pretty shocked if they're like deep into October again.
And all right. Well, then, what team would you be afraid of in the NL East?
I mean, the Braves are the Braves, and they had a down year last year. They had their 2 best players were both hurt. That's Strider and Acuna. Those guys are still working their way back, but they should both be back by May. And they're just a force. And they like everyone on their pitching staff is good because of I guess just the way the organization operates. They have like from top to bottom, they have the deepest lineup in baseball, I think, when they're healthy. Um, and like not only were they injured last year, but some of their guys had pretty down years. So I would expect them to kind of regress to the mean there, and become one of the best offenses in baseball again. They did sign Craig Kimbrell, which is a huge red flag. And if he pitches more than 10 games, they're going to lose a couple because of him. Um, yeah, they're still the best team. They're the second best team in the league compared to the Dodgers.
No, you think that they're that good once everyone comes back?
Yeah, they still made the playoffs last year,
Yeah, that's
and they
true.
and, like everyone had it down there except for Chris Sale and Azuna.
All right. So Nationals though, kids. We'll spotlight them because they're local. Anything? They had some fun young players
They
last
got
year,
kids
right?
coming up.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
It, so CJ Abrams has been up for a couple years now. He's their shortstop. They have James Wood as their left fielder, I think, and then Dylan Cruz is their right fielder. Cruz was a guy who went early in the draft a couple years ago. Wood they got in the original Juan Soto trade. He's huge. He's 6'7",
Holy
and
crap! Baseball players are strangely
uh,
massive.
some of them, and then you have like Jose Altuve, he's like 5'6". It's a
No.
weird spread. I don't think he's that.
Jose
He might
Altuve,
be.
you
He's
said,
tiny.
or Ramirez?
Altuve, A L
Yeah,
T
yeah, I
U V
got it.
E.
Oh, yeah, he's 5'6". Wow.
He is 5'6". Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up Jose Altuve next to Aaron Judge while you're at it.
Okay.
Um. So anyway, weird aside, but yeah.
Oh
So
my
they have some
God,
fun young guys.
this is like he literally looks like his child.
Yeah.
This is and then like oh my God, his legs are this. His legs go up to the Astros A. That
Yeah.
his torso starts after the Astros A on uh Altuve. Wow. That's it's quite the image. If everyone at home go do that. That's look up there's a million pictures of it too. It's
It's like Simone Biles standing next to Shaq.
yeah. It's it's crazy. All right, sorry to interrupt you. I got
No, you're
obsessed
good.
with that.
Where was it? Oh, James
We're
Wood.
talking
Right.
about
So the
yeah.
Nats. Yeah, they have some fun young guys. They didn't really spend any money, so they're not going to be very good this year. But it's kind of, you're going to be keeping an eye on those players.
Yeah, growing
If
pains.
they're good, then it'll be a fun season.
Cool.
But they're not. They're
Uh
not a good baseball team.
we'll just go down this way. Let's go to American League Central. Um just yeah, poop. Is that what you is bad?
I mean, it's like they're all so mediocre. And the Royals were fun last year, I will say, because they had Bobby Witt and Reagans. And other than that, they're just not exciting at all. Um, Tigers had like a miracle run to the playoffs last year, which was cool. I still don't think they're that good. Um, Guardians every other year win the division. They won it last year, so they're probably going to be mediocre this year. White Sox are dreadful, obviously, and then the Twins. I always forget about the Twins. If you ask me to sit down and name the 30 teams, the Twins would almost always be the last one that I name. Um, they're the like they're purgatory. They win 80 games every year. Like maybe they win 86 or 87 and they get into the playoffs and they get beat in the first round. But like, holy crap, they're the worst. They're the worst.
They this is
That's all I have on the AL Central. I don't want to talk about it. They're so non-exciting. It's not worth my time.
that's completely fair. The Twins, they have to be the most irrelevant team in sports. Like in sports.
They might be. Yeah, I mean, I would say that Arizona Coyotes were, and then they moved to Utah.
What team is that? Hockey?
The Utah Hockey Club.
Oh, hockey. Okay, okay. It's like, what are we talking about here? It's like Arizona Coyotes. What's going on? Um, yeah, that's I guess considering yeah, that's pretty bad too. Utah hockey.
They also like you missed that whole thing?
No, yeah, I missed all that. I don't know nothing about
Oh,
hockey.
yeah, there's a Utah Hockey Club now.
So that's recent?
Mhm. This is their first year.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Hockey does a lot of rearranging, doesn't it? Added a couple teams a couple years ago.
Yeah, it's kinda like musical chairs.
Yeah, interesting. All right, back to baseball. Out of the let's go to the NL Central then. Is that interesting?
No, not really. So the Cubs traded for Kyle Tucker from the Astros, which was a big splash. He's another one that like they have to extend him. Like I don't know what the point of trading for him is if you're not going to extend him. But they're pretty cheap, which doesn't make sense because it's such a good fan base and such a big market.
Yeah, you're the Cubs.
Um, yeah, right. But I think they could be a pretty decent team. They will probably win the division. Um, they have some decent younger pieces. They Matt Shaw, actually Maryland grad. He's
There you
their
go.
was their intermediate third baseman, so
Nice.
that's pretty sick. They have this guy Pete Crow Armstrong who's really fast. He's kind of cool. Um, the Pirates have Paul Skeens, and that's it. So Paul Skeens is really cool every fifth day, and every other day they're going to be dreadful, which is disappointing because like they have this guy in his prime, and they're not going to try to build around him at all because they're cheap. Um, but yeah, they're depressing. The Reds are cool because they have Ellie De La Cruz, who is also huge. He's like 6'6". He stole like 60 some bases last year. At one point last year, there was chatter about him getting to 100 stolen bases. So he's pretty electric. He also
That's
hits
pretty
home runs.
sweet.
He just strikes out a lot. I don't know who has him in fantasy. But yeah, he's fun. So the Reds are kind of cool. They also have Hunter Green, who throws like 102 miles an hour. Just neat. They just don't really have a bullpen, I don't think. Um, they're kind of like the Orioles. They're like a lesser version of the Orioles where they have a bunch of young guys who are like they're here now and they haven't really done anything to build on it, which is frustrating. Um, but I think the Reds are an interesting team to watch just because of Ellie, and some of the other young players that they have. Um, Brewers every year find a way to make the playoffs even though they're not very good. So I'm just gonna bank on that. We can check back in June. Um, they'll probably be in first place, and we'll learn a lot of names of guys that we didn't know. I will say, I one of my starters in fantasy is Garrett Mitchell, who was a young guy that came up for a little bit last year. He was a sleeper apparently, so I took him. And then they have this guy Jackson Chorio, who's a rookie last year, who is supposed to have a really good year this year. So like they're kind of fun. They have Reese Hoskins, Kristen Yelich,
I have Joey
but their
Ortiz
pitching will be
in fantasy.
okay.
Is he any good?
Yeah, he's decent.
All right.
Yeah. Um, wait, where I haven't even looked
Sorry,
at
I was
your
just looking at
team.
the
Where are
roster.
you?
Um,
Uh,
I had it pulled up. I got a bunch of
can I find you? Oh, you're Brady's Beastly team.
yeah, yeah. I have the
Okay.
yeah. I got
There, Joey's
just that's me
Barista.
looking at that. First of all, I think we did this on the pod live, but yeah, Soto fell to like 6. Was my pick.
Yeah, that was weird.
Was
I thought
strange.
that was weird. Oh, you got it for sale late. 29th. You need to pick up another pitcher.
Oh, I see that.
That's worth. Anyway, Brewers like they're just a really well-run organization, so they always trade away their best players, and then they don't get any worse. Um, So they have this guy, Willie Adames, last year, their shortstop, had a career year, hit like 30 home runs, lost him to the Giants. Probably doesn't matter. They just figure it out every year. So I'm assuming that the status quo will continue there. And that's pretty much the whole division. The Cardinals. Cardinals are a disaster. They're like actively trying to trade away their best players and they don't want to leave. Uh, and they have a GM in waiting right now, but the current GM is still running the operation. but it's his last. They've told him it's his last year, so it's kind of an awkward situation. They're basically punting on this season.
That sounds awful. Sounds
Yeah, it is awful.
that
They have
sounds
some
so
young
bad.
guys who like they need to see what they have in, but like their best player is Nolan Arenado, and they have been trying to trade him all off season, and they just can't because he doesn't want to go anywhere. Which like I don't blame him. He's getting older and probably has
Yeah.
a family and stuff. It's something to move again. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Um, yeah, they're gonna be hard to watch.
All right.
That's the NL Central.
I was gonna say we got 2 more left. American League West. What we got? Astros. They're just taking it. Oh, Rangers. I mean, they're good, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is actually one of the more interesting divisions. Throw away the Angels.
Is
A
is Trout still on that team?
disaster. He's still out there. I don't know how long he gets hurt every year now,
That was one of our
which is sad.
first
But when he plays, he's awesome.
that was one of our first, like, and maybe one of our only, like, real disagreements on
Is
sports.
what that he should be winning more
Or no, that he should be
if he's
MVP,
this
that, like,
good.
even in the MVP conversation.
Oh yeah.
I remember sitting at the lunch table
If he
probably before we
kept
started saying, like, he's never even been in the playoffs. He's never even been in the playoffs.
he went once, they got swept. They kept pace like how he was hitting the first 7 years of his career, he would literally be the best baseball player of all time.
He's
Like,
been
he's
on the
that good.
Angels since 2011.
Yeah, I know.
Wow. This guy just
It's such a
wasted his
waste.
whole career
It's such a
on this
waste.
terrible team.
They had Otani and Trout, and they didn't make the playoffs. Once
It's
they didn't
actually
make the
impressive.
playoffs.
And they're in LA. Like, you're in LA.
They are so horribly run. Um, so yeah, which they
So
don't
yeah, we can push
matter.
them past. Yeah.
Watch Trout home runs for the first month of the season. It hurt. Uh, the A's are actually a little bit interesting because they didn't totally suck last year, and they were supposed to. So they have a couple fun players like Brent Rooker's fun, JJ Bleday, Lawrence Butler, who they just extended. These guys are kind of fun. They have Mason Miller, who can throw like 105. He's their closer, and he's awesome. The weird thing about them is that they're not in Oakland anymore, and they're playing at a AAA stadium in Sacramento.
Oh,
So they're kind of homeless. I haven't heard them referred to as like you'd say the Boston Celtics or the Philadelphia Phillies. They're just the Athletics. Like they don't have a location, which is super weird.
there's also like the
I
other thing
don't
about
like it. I
this
keep
isn't
confusing them with the Braves because the Braves are ATL and now the A's are ATH. And I see the AT and I'm like, oh wait, the Brave. Wait,
ATH.
what? Yeah,
ATH.
it's so stupid.
So, because they don't have Sacramento, they don't have Sac. They don't like they're not the Sacramento
Now they don't
Athletics.
sack because that's not because they're going to Vegas, but they don't have like they rushed the exit from Oakland and they don't have. I don't even know if they have approval to go to Vegas yet, so they're just kind of floating around. And Sacramento is going to be miserable to play baseball in. It's not
Yeah,
like
that's
a
gotta be all.
coastal
No,
California city. It's going to be like 150 degrees in
and it's like
July.
swampy weather. It's not as like
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
going to
as
be horrible.
pristine. Yeah. Um, that's that's so bad. They
It's so weird. Yeah,
I just love the app. The app.
yeah. Yeah, it,
um,
it really threw me off when I saw it the first time
and
because I
the
guess I
best
just
part
hadn't
about
thought
this,
about it.
like this isn't like Toronto. Toronto in the COVID year had to play all their games in Tampa Bay,
Yeah, the COVID
and
year, because they
yeah,
legally
yeah.
were not allowed to play in their stadium.
And like New Orleans, when they had a disaster, like they played in Charlotte, I think, or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
but
disaster.
for these and for these sports, like it's football where there's you know 10 home games max. There's it's basketball where there's 40 home games. This has like 82,
81.
81 home games where they're just in some AAA stadium, probably like the
Yep.
Fireflies in Colombia, and they're a professional team. It's if you
Yeah.
live in
Oh, so
Sacramento, I
get
gotta
this.
say, if you live in Sacramento, you're what a bargain. Get to see any baseball team you want for practically probably free.
Oh, they're expensive because the stadium's so small.
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me. This is
Uh,
like the sports
okay,
team
so
from
if
hell.
you think that if you think that's crazy, the Tampa Bay Rays this season are playing their home games at the Yankees spring training facility.
Why? What's up with theirs?
They've been wanting they're like debating on relocating and
Is this just
then
like the Wild
I
West? What's
don't
up with these teams?
yes. No, baseball is such a mess, the whole thing. Um
They can just do
I
what they
didn't
want.
follow this I didn't follow this storyline too closely, so I don't know what's happening with their stadium, Tropicana Field. I think uh okay, how the Rays went from destroyed Tropicana Field roof. Oh, the roof. And
Oh,
then
collapsed.
to the it's a dome.
Yeah.
The roof collapsed and then St. Petersburg vote to fix Tropicana Field delayed once again. So like they might not ever fix it because the team is talking about moving, which they should because like baseball teams just don't do well in Florida.
No,
But
it's
anyway,
there's too many
they
other
are
things in
playing their home
Florida.
games at George Steinbrenner Field, which is the late owner of the Yankees.
Yeah, he's in Seinfeld.
Yes,
He's
that's right. Yeah, you know who
yeah.
Steinbrenner is.
He
Yeah,
so
so it's outrageous.
that I want the basketball team to just be like, we're playing in like some local like some local church, some
Yeah,
local college
not like
stadium.
Towson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the Hornets, we're playing in CLA this year. We're just gonna pack out
Yeah,
that stadium every year.
but CLA is like
At least it's a
the
basketball
the
arena.
difference between CLA and wherever the Spectrum Center or whatever. Like, how many people do you seat in that arena?
That's a good question.
Like, probably 14,000, right? It's pretty big.
Yeah,
So you're going from like 20 to 14,000. This is going from like 40,000 to 12.
18. Look at Colonial Life. Nice.
It's 18.
Yeah.
Jeez,
It only gets packed for the women's games. I don't think 18,000 people have ever been in there for their men's game.
18,000 is a lot of people.
That is a lot of
Why did they
people.
build it? Why did they make it so big?
They they made this in 2002, I believe. I don't know why they made it so big. We had a thing. It was called the Coliseum, and it was one of those old school basketball stadiums where it's like it wasn't that many
Oh
seats, but
yeah,
it was like on top of you. That
yeah.
would have been cool. I really wish they had a game in there. That would have been sick. Yeah, they built it in 2002. I don't know why they made it so many. But they do concerts and stuff there too, so maybe that's why.
Mhm. Interesting.
Anyways, we're talking about the
Anyway, where were
AL
we?
West. Yeah, we're talking about the AL
AL,
West.
yeah. Okay, so
The-
so the A's like won't suck that bad, and they might actually be kind of fun to watch. Um, Mariners, you'll see a common theme here, and that these teams just don't do anything in the offseason to upgrade. So the Mariners extended Cal Raleigh, who's their catcher, which was a good move. They have a top three pitching rotation in baseball. They have a really good closer. They have Julio Rodriguez, who's really fun. And then they have no other guys that can hit. And instead of trying to find guys that can hit, they don't. And they're just going to be one of the worst offenses in baseball again. And they will either barely make the playoffs or barely miss the playoffs.
I love.
And they will
I,
not win more than one playoff game, probably.
we need to find like we need. I love that line that you just said. They need. We could just fill. We could. It could be fill in the blank. This blank needs blank, and they just won't buy them. They just won't do it because there's so
It's
many teams
baseball's
in sports.
great for half the league, and for the other half of the league, it's so miserable. It's so upsetting. The Pirates are like the worst, I think.
Yeah, especially once you get that guy, you're just like all I'm thinking of is
Yeah, like, can we do something?
yeah, and all I'm thinking of is Trout. It's like this guy's just gonna be awesome. And I know it's
At
different.
least they tried though. Like they went out and they signed guys. They just signed the wrong guys. Um, and like they got Otani. Like they tried at least. They're just not good at it.
That's fair. I
These
guess
other teams
that's better than nothing.
refuse to do anything. I don't know what the Mariners' deal is. I really don't. Their
Well,
lineup is putrid.
the other thing is with no salary cap, there's no salary minimum either. So, like with football, that's like with the Pats. I've been hearing a lot of things with the Stephon Diggs thing. It's like in some world, like they have to spend that money because it goes away
Mhm.
somehow.
There's like a
Um,
certain percentage that you can save that can get rolled over,
yeah,
but outside of that percentage, you just lose it. So yeah.
and baseball clearly is the wild west of sports, and I don't like. Do they
Yes.
have a CBA? Like, do they have a collective bargaining agreement?
No, they do. So the players don't want a salary cap because then they'll get paid
Oh
less.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I get
So
that.
they're against it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um, and the owners wouldn't do a salary floor if there wasn't a salary cap, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, well, that hell no. They're cheap bastards.
So it's not going to change.
Yeah.
But yeah, baseball owners are the worst people on the planet.
All right, let's end it off with the National League West. Dodgers, Padres, um, the rest of the teams, are they gonna be any good?
The Diamondbacks are good.
Okay.
Yeah, Diamondbacks added Corbin Burns, who's the guy from the Orioles who left. They have a pretty good pitching staff. They have a pretty darn good lineup as well. Um,
They were
Bullpen might be
in
a little bit shaky
they were in the series, the World Series 2 years ago?
2 years ago. Yeah, they lost to the Rangers, so they missed playoffs last year. They're definitely good enough to make the playoffs this year, and who knows? Once you get in, they already made a World Series once. They're not going to beat the Dodgers in the division. Nobody is, obviously, unless 6 of their guys are out for the year.
This is
Uh,
also what's great. Sorry to cut you off, but you mentioned the Dodgers. No other team is like besides the Cubs has even played 4 games and they're already 4-0. What
right, so they opened the season in Tokyo like a week and a half before the rest of the season. The Dodgers and the Cubs played 2 games
Okay, so
that
that was
actually
real.
counted.
It did
That
count.
was real.
I was like, I saw that. I got up in the I placed a bet because I was like, oh, it turns on at 6 in the morning. Like I'll be able to check my bet at like right at the beginning of work. Like, this would be awesome. Um, I completely forgot about it, and but then I look at baseball. It was the next day. It was real on. It was real on Sunday or Wednesday, and then backed on Sunday. It was like spring training again. I was like, what the hell's going on?
The more I talk, the more that I like try to explain these things, the more dumb I feel. It's cool that they went over there because like Shohei playing in Japan is cool, and like the Cubs' best pitcher Shota Imanaga is Japanese, and like those guys got to play in front of their home crowd, which is awesome. I don't know why the hell it wasn't an exhibition game though.
Or why not just make it like the second game of this? Make it the second game of the season.
Well, because the travel is so severe that you don't want to like throw the guys off. I guess they do it with London,
Okay, then
which I still blame for the Phillies collapse last year.
why don't they why didn't they have it just be opening day then?
What do you mean?
Like why I guess why did they go back to spring training? Why couldn't they have just left? Like why not just start the season for everyone? We'll start in Japan. Is that
Well,
un-American?
because it is un-American.
Okay.
But you also like they needed enough time between Japan and opening day to like recover from the travel, I guess. So they didn't want to just start playing real games. But I don't know. I don't know. It's really stupid.
You can see the logistics of we're worried about the travel to Japan because yeah, it's a
And the game shouldn't count though.
travel. Yeah. And it's just weird to have like I when they had the opening day stuff on Thursday, I was like, didn't we already do this? Like I thought it's been going.
I don't know, man. I'm not the one making the calls. I don't agree with most of them.
But I will say, baseball, I guess we haven't talked too much about this division, but the baseball itself is they're really like trying on the marketing here. They're
And it's working.
advertising players.
It is
Yeah,
working.
I think it is working. There's a buzz around baseball this year specifically that I don't think I felt or seen um in a while, long time,
Gambling helps.
definitely. Yeah.
Gambling helps a lot. They benefited from that because they're the only show in town the whole summer. Um, but like it's not their fault,
Hmm.
and they've leaned into it. The pitch clock was also a success, which I will admit I was not a fan of. But yeah, it's definitely been a success. I don't know how it affects pitchers' arms. I guess we need more data on that. But Yeah, I will give them that. But there are still a lot of weird things where, like, why not move opening day to Monday when there are no college basketball games on?
Yeah,
And then
having
you
it the
have
same day as
Monday,
college
Tuesday,
basketball's,
Wednesday of
yeah, return.
all baseball. Like, why we start on Thursday and then I don't get to watch the Phillies again until Saturday? Like, don't give it to me and then just yank it away. There were 4 games on last night. And I think it's always been like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and
Um,
this is such a simple one where, like, it's not like the NBA where it's like you have like the NBA has to eventually change their whole schedule. Like, they have to move all of it if eventually. And because the first half of the season nobody gives a crap about. But the opening day, you want people to not have to worry about March Madness.
yeah.
Make it Monday. It's
And it's a
they
layup too. It's not like you really have to you just move the season up 3 days or push it back 3 days.
and they college basketball is giving you the space. They're giving you the space. Like, that's what doesn't make any sense. You're waiting for the day that they come back
Yeah.
for to then start your stuff. Um,
Yep.
but I guess that's just the boomers that are in charge, man. Baseball has definitely the
Yes.
most of old guys in charge. I know they're all
Oh
old
yeah.
guys in charge for every sport,
By
but
far.
this is yeah, baseball by far is uh, legacy guys here. Um, anything that we like anything on the NL West that we want to get before we wrap up?
I didn't talk about the Padres at all. I guess. What did they do? They lost Dirks and Profar to the Braves. They're a pretty similar team to what they were last year. They should be in the playoffs again. Oh, they lost Tanner Scott, their closer, who they traded for, which is kind of significant.
Oh, I didn't even. I
Yeah, that's a
forgot
good
they did that one.
division. Giants are pretty good, but the Giants are usually mediocre, so they'll probably win like 86 games. And then the Rockies are horrible. So horrible.
They're another bad one. That's
Yeah.
another bad sports franchise where it's like who
Yes.
who gives a crap about the Rockies? And it stinks because they got cool colors. Purple. You don't see a lot of
Yeah,
professional
and the
sports with
ballpark is
purple.
cool.
Oh yeah, you sent a picture of that when you went
Mhm.
there. That was really cool.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
neat.
it's the mountains right behind it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, good stadium.
All right.
Yeah, they're terrible.
So I think that does it for baseball, right? Anything else?
Yeah, that was a roller coaster
I
of
I that was great. I thought
of
that
a
was great.
baseball preview.
I'm ready for baseball now. That was awesome. Last thing I got, Meach Johnson has entered the transfer portal. Come home.
Again?
Come home.
Wait, what did he like left the team last season
So
for
what
personal
I've
reasons?
gathered, yes, what I've gathered is he went back to Ohio State because his father was sick. Um, and I think his father sadly has passed away. Um,
Okay.
so I think that's why I think he was super sick during the season. He only played 10 games at Ohio State this year. Um, but the second he entered the transfer portal, all the Gamecocks that are already signed up for next year tweeted out the eyeball emojis. I'd be excited to have him back. I think, um,
Yeah, why not?
yeah, I think you gotta get over the fact. I mean, whatever personal reasons that he had to go back to Ohio State. If he wants to come back, it means he always wanted to be a Gamecock. So that's what you gotta put your head behind.
Wait, so he didn't he start at Ohio State?
Yeah. So this would be literally
So would he be the
snip snap.
first player ever to go
Maybe
from one school to another school, back to the region school, back to the second school?
that's a
That might
oh
be history.
I'm gonna chat GPT that because there's no way Google's gonna give me anything. Um,
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't follow it closely enough to know anyone off the top of my head. I know Kudus Wahab went from Georgetown to Maryland, back to Georgetown to Penn State. Maryland never would have taken him back. Or maybe he went. Oh, it doesn't matter. So how would we even engineer this prompt? It would be like, has there ever been a college player
okay, you want it? I typed it in.
to play at 2 schools at 2 different times?
So, has a college player
Two
transferred to
separate.
one school, then back to the original school, and then back to the second school? That's the prompt that I'm throwing
Okay.
in. Let's see what ChatGPT says. Uh, See, this isn't they said Xavier Worthy, but he committed to Michigan, then flipped to Texas. And nah, that does why did he even throw that up there? One player,
Okay.
Kate Martell,
As
started. See, nah, this isn't. Nah, they're
Martell,
they're not getting
no.
this right. Yeah, they're not getting
As
this
a
right.
college player ever had two separate stints at two different
There you
schools.
go. There you go.
Okay. No, okay, he's giving me Bo Nix and JT Daniels.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay. For example, if Bo Nix transferred from Auburn
It's
to
fun actually.
Oregon,
Um.
and from Oregon back to Auburn, and then back to Oregon, has this ever happened?
Okay. Transferring between schools multiple times is
Yeah.
uncommon in college athletics due to NCAA regulations, legal challenges. Nah, there's no one because I said has a player transferred from school one to school two, then back to school one, then back to school two, and uh, that I no no. I think this would be he'd make history. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, okay, here's what it said. That kind of transfer where a player moves from one school to another, then back to the original school before returning again would be highly unusual, if not unprecedented, in college sports. I'm going to give it the example of Michi and see what it says. Okay, Michi Johnson began at Ohio State, transferred to South Carolina, then transferred back to Ohio State, and is now in the transfer portal again. I don't know what I want it to respond.
Let's just see
It's
what
a
happens.
great catch.
That's awesome.
Michi Johnson's transfer path is definitely one of the rare cases where a player has returned to their original school after transferring somewhere else. I don't think that's like insanely rare.
Yeah, I
It's
think
the moving
it's moving
back.
back to the second school is the crazy part. I don't think it's happened. I don't think we're getting. I think this is Michi making the
There's
one.
no way. If he goes back to South Carolina, would this be the first time ever? Okay, give me the same. Michi Johnson transferred back to South Carolina after already returning to Ohio State. It would be one of the first, if not the first, instances of a player transferring
Awesome.
between the same two schools twice in the modern transfer
That
era.
is awesome. I'm not gonna
While
lie.
players have transferred multiple times and ever returned to and even returned to their original school, a boomerang transfer back and forth between two schools
Boomerang
twice is
transfer.
virtually unheard of at the D1 level. All right, I'm excited. He's got to come back.
He has to. Yeah, he has to come back.
Boomerang.
He actually has to. If he, and that would. I'd actually be mad. I'd be mad if he went somewhere else. Now that we're thinking about it, like then it's like you had no loyalty for Ohio State or South Carolina to begin
Wait, how
with.
many years does he have left? It
I don't
says that
know.
he started at Ohio State in 2020.
Did he recruit
2021,
there?
21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25. This would be his sixth year. If he started in 2020, he still has the COVID year. I thought
And
we
if
were done with those guys.
if he stepped away this year, does he keep his eligibility? He can play 10 games.
Oh, that's a good question.
That might be
Sure,
why.
let's ask
Yeah,
ChatGPT.
because it says for final year, so maybe. Um,
How does Michi Johnson still have
oh, Ohio State
NCAA
people are
Elite?
pissed. I'm looking at these
Why?
articles. They're OSU Michi Johnson leaving Ohio State. Dot 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 again. Um, this one says Ohio State team is now rid of their worst NIL decision. Brutal.
Okay. No, these are bad answers. This is saying he likely has one more year left, in parentheses 2024-25. His freshman year was under the COVID-19 waiver. Oh, I guess he could be a graduate transfer. It would be wild if he actually went back to South Carolina. Do you think he will?
That's awesome. Be like, yes, yes, I think he will.
He learns quick. Like, yes, that's the whole point of this.
Chat, he's like, "You're picking it up, Chad. You're picking it up."
Oh, okay, here we go. So this is the correct response. They gave me two options here. This is fun. We should do this every podcast. COVID year was the first year, then redshirt year, then normal 4-year eligibility,
Okay.
and then even after multiple transfers. Okay, this will be his final year unless he gets a medical redshirt. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense then.
Well, I hope he comes back. I hope he makes history. That would be
I do too.
yeah, that would be awesome. And if he comes back, I mean, he's LeBron's cousin or nephew.
He is.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, and I mean, he had his best years in South Carolina. He's a fan favorite. I think if
Yeah.
I think some people will be like there'll be some people online just honestly because it's South Carolina and there's so many hateful people on Twitter that are in South Carolina, it seems like. But there'll be some people that are like, "Oh, we don't need him back," but we definitely would love him back, and
Yeah. No, he's
I would.
big.
All right. Other than that, Pats cut their linebacker, but we can get into that to later. We can do that with mock draft. We don't have to get into football right now.
I haven't thought about football in a while, actually.
Yeah, besides the dig stuff, that's really all I've been thinking about. Or I haven't. That's all I've thought about with football. Besides laughing at the Jameis and Russell Wilson memes, any one of those memes, I'm all for. I think it's hilarious. Um, all right, I think that does it though. We had a packed pod. We haven't had it over an hour 31
You
in
know,
a
back
while.
then.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you.
and you think like we have 8 basketball games to talk about.
Yeah, I know. 'Cause we I thought you did baseball wonderfully. So good job, Chris.
Thank you.
All right.